Okay guys, so today we're going to be doing the Investigating Chemical Reactions lab. So the materials being used are lime water, rubber stoppers, and then we had to create this at the beginning for the preparation of the experiment. Test tubes, steel wool, rubber bands, this which is dry yeast, hydrochloric acid, which is right here, magnetic strip, which is in here, hydrogen peroxide, vinegar, baking soda, right here, and then we're going to be using beakers, graduated cylinders, the electronic balance, pipettes, the weighing boats, the candle that we used for the first experiment, what else? Forceps, a ruler, which is somewhere around here, the test tube rack, and the thermometer also, which is right here. Okay, so for activity 1, we have to find the synthesis of reactions. So it says measure 50 milliliters of white vinegar into a graduated cylinder and then pour it into the small cup. Okay, so I already put 50 milliliters of white vinegar into here, so now I'm gonna add it into this cup right here. Okay. And just so you guys can see everything that we're using. Measure the room temperature using a thermometer and record the results. Pen. So that's 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And then it says place the thermometer in a rubber band on a paper towel. So I don't have paper towels, but I have napkins. And here's my rubber band. Okay. While wearing protective gloves, tear the steel wool pad in half. Place one of the steel wool on a paper towel. It says the other half will be used later for comparison. And then it says assume that this piece of steel wood remains at room temperature. So. Okay. So I'm going to put the other one over here on another paper towel because we're going to be comparing them. Okay. Place the other half of the steel wool in a cup containing the white vinegar and then press down gently. Submerge it in the vinegar. So here's the vinegar. Okay. Remove the steel wool from the cup and carefully squeeze out the excess vinegar back into the cup. And we're also going to keep the excess vinegar because we're going to be using it for activity 4. Okay, now wrap the damp seal wool piece around the bulb of the thermometer with the rubber band. Okay. I'm going to do it a little tighter just so it doesn't slide out of here. Okay. Place the steel wool wrapped around the thermometer on a paper towel, so I did that. Record the temperature of the steel wool and start the timer. Okay, so right now, okay, I started the timer. Okay. Okay, so the temperature is going up. Okay, and it says observe the synthesis reaction for 10 minutes and then record the temperature of the steel wool at 5 and 10. Okay, so in 5 minutes, I can smell it, like, it smells weird. Okay, yeah, it smells not good, but okay. I'm going to leave that aside. I'll wipe my hands real quick, because now I have vinegar all over them. We're going to start on activity 2 while that sits for 10 minutes. And then we're using that later. Okay. Okay, so the activity 2 is decomposition reaction. We have to measure 10 millimeters of hydrogen peroxide into a graduated cylinder and then pour it into a large glass test tube. Okay, so 10 millimeters. So I'm going to be using this one because it's exactly 10 millimeters. And hydrogen peroxide. Colors. Okay, so it says to put it in the large test tube. And then place the test tube containing the hydrogen peroxide upright in a clean, empty 250 millimeter beaker. Use a plastic mini spoons to measure 2 levels of spoonfuls of the dry yeast. Add both spoonfuls into the hydrogen peroxide solution in the large test tube. Start the timer. Okay. I didn't say that we needed spoons in the lab thing, but let me go get some real quick. Okay, so we have a spoon. And we have to add 2 teaspoons of dry yeast. I'll use some scissors. And we have to add it into going to add both spoonfuls of the hydrogen into the hydrogen peroxide solution. That's probably why they wanted to put the thing in there, because it gets messy. Then it says, start the timer. So, okay, we're gonna start the timer. Alright. Okay, so, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like starting to bubble a little bit at the bottom. And like the yeast is floating a little bit at the top, but whatever's touching the bottom is making a chemical reaction, if you can see that. It looks kind of cool. Okay. It says observe the decomposition reaction for 1 minute and record your observations in the data table 1. Photograph your observations. Gently swirl the content of the large test tube for 1 minute and record your observations in the data table. Ooh, can y'all see that? Oh no. It's coming up, it's coming up. I'm gonna put it in here so it doesn't make a mess. But look. You'll see. Okay. Alright, so now it says that I have to take a picture. So, I'm gonna use my phone to take a picture.